So yesterday was one of the largest events in New York City. It was Tunnel to Towers, which is a fundraiser, and I was part of it, so I wanted to make a video recap about it. Tunnel to Towers is a race that is honoring a 9/11 hero. His name was Steven Siller. His backstory was on 9/11. He was off from work, and when he heard what was happening, he just had to go into the city and help out. And so he got as far as a tunnel over in Brooklyn, and he wasn't able to go through it because they shut down the tunnels. So he left his car over in Brooklyn, grabbed 60 pounds of firefighting gear, and ran through the tunnel to get to the Twin Towers and was helping there. And ultimately, he passed away there. And his family has created an amazing organization helping out war veterans and their families since, and they raise, millions of dollars, and one of their biggest fundraising events is their Tunnel to Towers race that takes place in New York. It's the last weekend in September, and it's been going on since 2002. Like when it first started, they had something like 1,500 people, and yesterday's event had 40,000 people. So definitely a huge event to be a part of. So I wanted to share a little bit about my experience. So let me jump into a couple things. This race is perhaps the most expensive 5K-ish race that I've done. It cost, I think it was $85, and it can be more if you decide you want your time to be like actually timed with a chip. I registered too late to have that, but if you really want a great experience and it's your first time doing it, I do recommend to spend the extra $10 in order to get that chip, because that puts you to the front of the line, and you could be waiting for a very long time for the race start. Also, this was the last year that they did bib pickup the morning of the race. I've personally never done that. I like to have my supplies before the race. So I did their Saturday pickup at the Conrad Hotel. And even though this race is huge with thousands and thousands of people, the whole entire bib pickup process took less than 10 minutes. They just ask you, if you're running or walking, and if you're running, if you have a chip or no chip. And they give you your bib quickly. They give you a tote bag, which I have used. I got the bag on Saturday. I've used it like 5 times already, so it's definitely a practical bag. And then you're also able to pick up a race shirt, and it was more of a cotton shirt than a race material shirt, which I like because I'm more likely to wear those ongoing and to help promote their message long term as well. Okay, so the actual morning of the race starts at 9:30, but all the roads nearby it's shut down. They close the tunnel starting at 7 a.m. So if you're coming from Manhattan, they say to take the New York water taxi. I was coming from Long Island, so I got an Uber to drop me off a couple blocks away. Had probably about a 10-ish minute walk to the start, and they do have a security check, and the main thing that they were actually looking for, it looked like, was water. They did not want you to take any water bottles in, and so that's something, just be aware that you should probably come hydrated, because once you're in there, there's no water until you get through the tunnel onto the other side. Like they also say no backpacks or anything like that. Nobody tried to bring in any of that, but water was definitely like a big taboo for them. They also say that you're not supposed to use your cell phone. However, a lot of people were, and I'll admit I did too. I think they just don't want you stopping taking selfies, but if you're moving and taking pictures, like people were doing it, a lot of people are sharing their photos, and I think that they assume that then that's permissible. They just don't want it to be where you're like stopping to take a picture. Like they say no selfie sticks as well. And nobody was taking selfie sticks. Everyone was just taking action shots as the event was going on. So I was in wave 4, and like I said, it took somewhere around like 45 minutes for my group to start, and it was raining yesterday. Luckily though, the rain actually kind of eased up as we were getting closer to the start. So once I was ready to start, like I had a rain poncho with me, was able to take that off and just enjoy the run. They have like a big screen so you can see what's going on. However, the big screen closest to the start works. I've never had where the screens behind it do work, so like you don't really see what's going on. But I will say this, that the minute that they started playing the national anthem, like everyone is chatting all around, can't see anything, just eagerly waiting for the start. And then the national anthem came on and everyone just shut up immediately, and everyone was so intent, and some people were singing along, myself included. It was such a humbling experience, just having everyone just literally go silent and have that moment of respect, and everyone was unified together, which really made for a great race start. And so with being wave 4, once it was our time, like they moved us up occasionally into groups. They didn't have like a hard closure. Like if you've done like the New York City Marathon, it's like they're checking your bib, making sure you're in the right color, the right section. It was nothing like that. You could have easily moved between the sections, but everyone was pretty honest. But they did kind of take like a chunk of people at a time, have them go to the start and move everyone up and just keep on with that cycle. And it was probably, I would say, like staggered maybe every 5-ish minutes. I felt like once we got there to the front, there was like maybe about 5 minutes we were waiting around, and maybe they gave us like 5 minutes to go from our last like corral to that starting point. So when it's time to start, they do blow a horn, and you run a very short distance. You make a turn, then you make another turn, you make another turn, and then you start heading down into the tunnel. And as people start heading into the tunnel, they're screaming, they're chanting. Up by the start line as well, people started like a USA chant. So you're definitely like feeling all the emotions. And the minute that you see the tunnel and you start running in, it is such a humbling experience. And then once you're in there, everyone just has this sudden burst of energy and excitement. And whether you're walking or running, like for my friends who are really into running, everyone did a really great job. If you were running, you were on the left hand side. If you were walking, you were on the right hand side. And in between there, like you could just kind of bounce between the two sides, which is what I did. But everyone just has this magical energy to them. And I know at one point the Navy came by and they were chanting, and everyone just was like stopping and just like so into the moment. I've never seen a race that just like everyone had that burst of energy. It wasn't like a competitive feeling. It was like, oh my gosh, we're part of something amazing and we're going to do this. So you're continuing through the tunnel, and it is kind of congested in there. It's very hot. There's no air going. There's a couple times where you start to see a light in the distance and you figure that's where like the race, like you're getting out of the tunnel, and it's not. Like then you just make another turn and another light down there. But then eventually you do see a light in the distance and you realize like you're headed on an incline, and you see that you're headed out of the tunnel. And when you get out, this is one of the most emotional experiences I've ever encountered. When you get out, you look ahead and you see One World Trade Center, and you just like instantly think about what Steven Stiller saw on that day, and just like how different of a view you have compared to what happened, in 2001. And you start running up and you look to your right, and they've got a banner that says 343, which is the number of firefighters that passed away. Then they have a huge banner that's got Steven Stiller's face on it, and you see the face of this 35-year-old hero that was taken way too soon. I feel like I'm starting to get choked up talking about this, but it really just like you realize why you're there. And like 343 is a huge number of victims, but then you start to, as you see every single one of their faces, it's so humbling, and it makes you realize just how great of a number that really is. And then as you keep on going forward, there is firefighter after firefighter after firefighter, each holding a banner representing one of those victims, and they've got their face on there. And I mean, as you start to do it over the years, or just like, being in New York, you hear different people's names and stories, and you see those pictures. Like, I know I saw the banner for Father Michael Judge, and I've got, a video I've done on him and a walk that's done in his honor. These names are, they were all real people, and it's crazy to think like how they passed away. It still doesn't seem real what happened to them. And after you get through like all the firefighters, then you've got the police officers that were killed that day as well. And then they also have woven into there some banners that list out firefighters and police that have passed away due to 9/11 related illnesses. So that's a crowd that tends to be forgotten in a lot of circles, but this race does a great job paying respects to those. Once you get past firefighters, police, then they have banners that have pictures of 4 people at a time, and it has all the military that have been lost in the action since 9/11 as well. And so I've done this race for several years, and I know it's a very long distance that they have those names, but every year obviously that number is growing. And I was shocked just as we continued through Manhattan. Like, you don't go straight to the 9/11 memorial. You actually like make a left-hand turn, go along the water, and then come back up. And there was just, hundreds or thousands of pictures, and they had a pretty young crowd that was holding these. And I think most of the people I saw holding these banners were not even alive during 9/11, and like they're extremely, cheering you on, and you just kind of look and realize like the world that they were born into. And it makes, I don't even know how to describe the feeling. It hits your heart. It makes an impact that you're seeing these young people that are out there volunteering their time and paying respects to people that, you know, because of the actions of who they're holding, like they're here and that they're able to be free and everything. And it's so emotional to do that. And then once you get towards the end, you know, people are calling out, you're almost done, you got 2 blocks left. And any runner will say they hate hearing that during a race, but actually on this race, like this point, you have this extra burst of energy because you're like emotionally destroyed at this point. I can't get through that race without crying because you look at the pictures and it just like, it hits you right here. So when you have somebody like telling you you're so close, and you know that you're doing this amazing thing, like you just sprint and you go for it. And those like last 2 blocks are like some of the best energy you've ever experienced. And like when you get to the finish line and you look up and again, you see like the city rebuilt, but you remember why you're there and it really sticks with you. And it's something that I feel like every New Yorker or anyone that was affected by 9/11 should take part in this event at some point, because the parallels between like the then and the now, it's something that you feel this sense of like pride with how strong we've come back, but you also then can like go back to that moment and remember all those people that were lost and all those individual stories and all those heroes in particular that were lost that day. And the event is something that is 100% worth it. It's a more expensive race to do, but the money's going to an amazing cause. And this experience is one that's going to stick with you forever. And it's a race that I've gone back and have done multiple times because it's something that just, it's so hard to put into words what you feel here. I'm going to have a link that if you're moved to make a donation to the organization, 100% of the money goes to Tunnel to Towers. They just set up fundraising pages for all the runners. Please feel free to make a donation. The money is so well used in terms of providing housing for injured military vets and carrying out Stephen's legacy. What happened to him is a tragedy, but his family has created an impactful mission that fulfills his desire to help out people. They're doing that in a different avenue. And between the race that they have, either to participate or donating money to their organization, I can't speak highly enough about just how impactful of an event this is. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about the event, please feel free to let me know. I'm not in any way affiliated with them aside from just being a participant, but I am happy to try and answer any questions that you may have. And thank you so much for watching.